start the recording.
Okay.
I'm going to share the agenda.
So if you're recording, I'll say hi and welcome to the UNNC Environmental Committee meeting, December 10th, 2010.
Okay. And I'm noting that it says call to order, but this is my error for not catching it. It also needs to be a approve the agenda. So Elizabeth, I'll move to approve the agenda.
I second. Do we have?
Okay. And I think you can't chair and chew.
I won't, not last bite.
Okay. just saying, just think you can't. Okay, so but in any case, we don't have a lot of people, so I assume no one has objections and the agenda is approved. And now, Elizabeth, the second item, I'm assuming you guys can see the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, is the round robin introductions, which is what Elizabeth wanted to get to. And then I'm going to stop the share for the moment, because I can't see the waiting room and do share at the same time.
Okay.
Anyway, so you wanted to do your round robin?
Yes. I can go first. Hi guys, I'm Elizabeth Fenner. I am also stretched too thin. I'm an English teacher at FITM, the fashion school downtown. And I am an active volunteer, California coordinator, in fact, for Citizens Climate Lobby, and here in neighborhood group. I'm also in a graduate program for library science because I'm trying to become a librarian, which is better work.
Wow.
That's
You
it.
are.
Do you really
busy.
think it's better work than teaching English?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm Laura Myers. Have been friends with Elizabeth for a very long time. She has not convinced me to go whole hog into climate change and all that stuff. But, you know, baby steps. I do my part for the environment. And I live in Angeles Vista. Elizabeth didn't say this, but she lives in West Adams Avenues. I'm an honorary West Adams Avenueser as well, because I basically work on the same block that Elizabeth lives. And I've been on the UNNC board for a long, long time as its planning and zoning chair. And enough said. Rachel?
Yeah, so hello again to Elizabeth and Laura and Layla. I'm Rachel Corin, so I don't live in the West Adams area, but I work at 24th Street in West Adams. And I was born and raised in Los Angeles. So food court service member with Garden School Foundation, which we will hear more about shortly. Also, is my connection okay? I'm getting some things that are saying I'm unstable. Feedback. Okay, I'll try to fix that. But yeah, yes. So my intro.
Mm-hmm. So you're full time with School Garden Foundation?
Yeah, full time, Monday to Friday.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am Layla Tamburini. I also do not live in the West Adams area, but I work at 24th. I work with Garden School Foundation at 24th Street Elementary School.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say you work with, are you a volunteer with, or are you employed by the Garden School Foundation?
Oh, I'm employed. I've been employed. I've been actually working at working with Garden School Foundation at 24th Street Elementary School for 10 years now.
Wow. So I know the presentation doesn't come until later, but I think I've been familiar with the Garden School Foundation for a very long time, because it was started right here by Emily Green and Karen Haas and others. I don't know if they're still involved or not, but there were annual fundraisers, which were really parties at Karen's house.
Yep.
I went to those, and I years ago did muckabout on some of the muckabout days. I've haven't lately.
Mhm.
But also West Adams Heritage, which Elizabeth and I both belong to, gave some of the seed money back in the day.
Oh, amazing.
You know,
West Adams Heritage. That's great.
way back, and I can't tell you how much, but it
Mhm.
probably wasn't a lot because you probably didn't need a lot at the time. I mean, it wasn't a big, it wasn't the program it is now.
Yeah.
Right? It was just trying to make sure, you know, it was when the freeway, the whole thing with the freeway wall and the vacant, you know, the spot. And anyway, it was just part of an effort to advocate. And I don't remember how much money, but it was enough that it was notable in an annual report on both parties. So
what's going on in the garden today, these days?
wait, they have you have to stick to your agenda.
We got a
I can't-
whole spiel, but
Okay, Dan's
Yeah,
on
we
his
gotta
way. Dan is on his way.
Okay, and I'm gonna repost that agenda and see where we are.
And okay. Would you put the link into the chat?
The link to what?
The agenda there.
It's
Okay.
Oh, you mean
I can do a screen cap, I guess.
what are you looking?
I just wanted to have it on my
Yes, I can definitely give you a link online to grab it
Okay.
in the chat.
Okay. Oh yeah, there it is. All right.
Oh, you already have the.
No,
well,
I
yes,
don't.
but
I
but I'm
don't.
gonna
I
copy
couldn't
and
find it.
paste it into
The chat. Oh,
into the chat, but I'm gonna stop the share in order to do that. Yay. That's
okay.
a problem. So the
There's
next
Dan.
is the public comments, which are probably, these are for anything that is not on your agenda. Hi, Dan. And I'm going to Elizabeth, there's that link if you need it.
Thank you. That'd be awesome.
And hi, Dan. We just passed sort of the round robin of everyone introducing themselves. So I guess you should introduce yourself. And then I'm making you a co-host. And I'm going to stop running this meeting. Let you guys do it. And Elizabeth, did you pull down the agenda?
I'm looking for it.
Okay. Well, if you click on that link that I put in chat.
Mm-hmm. Great,
then,
gret. The UNNC Environmental Committee agenda and then the garden school presentation.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Don't
So for me to
download
look
the
at later.
presentation.
I
Don't do
won't.
that. Just the agenda for now. Anyway.
Okay, yay, got it.
So Dan needs to introduce himself, and then you're into public comment. But Dan, you're muted. Dan, you're muted. There you go.
There we go.
Hello, I am the very flaky and forgetful co-chair of this committee along with Elizabeth. I'm an engineer. I live in Harvard Heights-ish. And my wife just succeeded in getting a monument built at LaSalle in Washington.
And were you watering the plants?
Yes, we're watering the plants. I have a big collection of giant water bottles. Anyway, so and I'm a big climate activist. So the reason I'm late is because my calendar still said 8:30. After like telling let's make it 8, my calendar still said 8.
Right.
So
okay. So where we are in the agenda was public comments on items not on the agenda. I'm kind of guessing since that there is no public comment on items not on the agenda.
right. Let's see here.
So I can reshare it, or I can just tell you what it says. Because the next item would be your minutes.
Right. So, I'm hating Google Docs right now. Hating the entire world.
And Dan, as we go forward in these meetings, you really actually need to send me the draft minutes because I technically need to post them into the share agenda packet.
Yes.
but it's not a big deal for a committee because the Brown Act applies a little bit less. But we're just trying to do a, if Greg was at this meeting, he'd be very angry with me for not being demanding of y'all. So.
Right.
Or you can table these for this month if you'd like.
Yes. We're tabling. I move that we table
Okay.
the
Do we have
minutes.
a second?
Oh, I guess I'll second.
Okay. Let's see. All in favor of tabling the minutes for this month?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Nay. Okay, passes unanimously. Okay.
The next item is the Garden School Foundation presentation. And Rachel, did you need me to share the screen, or should I make you a co-host?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. I think
No,
I can do
no.
this.
Elizabeth, if she wants to drive her own computer,
No, I understand that, but you need to allow her to share the screen herself.
If she wants. Is that right?
Layla, would you like me to share it, or do you want to share this?
Yeah, could you share it?
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Okay, hang on.
I did it.
because then I won't be able to like click through, will I?
That is correct.
Okay.
Who
Let me
wants
share
who wants to share? Because you have to be made into a co-host to share.
No, you don't.
Hey, Elizabeth, you're shaking your head, but in our Zoom protocols that I've set
sorry.
up, we do, because it's virtual governance.
Oh, okay.
So in theory, somebody trying to share who's not a co-host won't be allowed. You can try, but
Sorry.
So Layla, do you want to be the sharer?
You know what? I think it will be okay if Rachel shares it, and she'll just sort of click through as it seems appropriate, which is,
Nod or anything like that. Just give me a little signal if you like.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So,
Are you guys new to virtual governance? These Zoom meetings that are also governmental? Because there's sort of a trick that isn't important for tonight because no one's on a phone. But on these presentations, the reason we post them in advance is if somebody wants to call in instead of log in, they can download it in advance and follow along. So you would say next page, next page. If
Okay.
Layla is directing Rachel. So that way, people at home who are on the phone, nobody tonight, but just in case we do this again, like this might be a test run and we bring you out to governing board for one of our we do presentations as we were waiting for people to gather for quorum. So let's think of that as this. So anyway, I'm gonna be quiet now.
Okay. So
mute
Rachel, I'll
myself.
just say next page to Q. Yeah.
all right, sounds good.
Thank you.
So, am I a co-host now, Laura?
Yes, I said. There you go.
Yay!
Okay, so is
We ready?
that looking?
That looks good to me.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Okay. So firstly, I would like to say thank you so much for having us speak at your meeting this evening. I'm Layla Tamburini. I am the garden manager for a nonprofit called Garden School Foundation, and I work at the 24th Street Elementary School. And then I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Rachel, to introduce herself.
Yeah, thank you, Layla. And again, thank you everyone for having us and giving us this platform to share what we do and what we care so much about. So I am a garden educator, but I sort of split my time between the garden and the virtual classroom. So half the time I'm helping to maintain the garden at 24th Street, but I'm also teaching K through 4th grade, some of those different grades, actually pre-K through 4th grade at 24th Street. So,
Great.
yeah.
So At Garden School Foundation, we teach kids in-depth garden-based education in 8 Title I schools throughout LA. We're here today to share our organization with you because our largest school garden is right here in Jefferson Park, located at 24th Street Elementary School off of Western Avenue. The 24th Street Garden is our largest site, boasting 1.5 acres of beautiful green space on an elementary school's campus. Next slide. In 2005, the school was planning to remove 1.5 acres of blacktop just to repave it. And community members from the school and neighborhood came together, which Laura knows the history of, came together to advocate for a garden classroom that would provide access to a safe green space that would engage kids and their families. Next page. Next page. From this development started our Seed to Table program, which I will pass off to Rachel.
Thank you, Layla. So just to go back real quick to the list of schools. So we currently are working actually with 7 because this year we don't have an ongoing partnership with Aldama, though that may change in the future. But we're working with these 7 schools right now, all Title I elementary schools. And I think something to note is that there really is a unique relationship with each school. The school community is the Garden School partnership is very much tailored to what each school is asking for, what the principal, what the students really enjoy. Yeah, what we're learning this year is that the 24th Street community has different needs, has different people, and we really want to build those partnerships with schools individually. So for a bit more on the Seed to Table program, so I started working with Garden School just in August, so I don't really have experience with the pre-COVID curriculum, but it was really built on this idea of hands-on education and of fostering that love of science, of nature, of working with your hands, whether it's with food or in the garden. So lessons were really either nutritionally based, so it was about cooking, but not just cooking to say this food is good for you, but to understand where it came from and to really make it exciting and to make things delicious so kids are excited to eat fruits and vegetables. And then on the gardening side, they were spending a lot of their time in the actual garden during class. So these are just a few examples of what those sort of cooking classes looked like. And this is right outside the shed at 24th Street, the garden. But that has all changed. So this year, we have gone through this process of the word we use is Zoomifying. So what that has entailed is really trying to convert these lessons into online friendly lessons. And what we've really tried to do is make it engage students with nature and with science and with cooking and gardening, even though they can't be in that space. So we still show them tours of the garden, and we try to give them other videos about nutrition and cooking. And we've actually formed new programs where we will be doing virtual cooking nights with families.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and virtual baking nights with partnerships with King Arthur Baking. So yeah, we have, it's, even though there have been so many changes because of COVID, there's also all these new opportunities that have sort of popped up. Oh, I can't hear you, Layla.
You can't? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So along with managing the school garden at 24th Street, I wear a few hats in the organization. Like I'd mentioned, I've been with the organization for 10 years now. And one of the programs that we've developed in the last couple of years is this amazing program called the Cafeteria to Compost program, where we teach children about food waste, and we teach them about how to differentiate food scraps from food waste. And we started a food waste diversion program at the school where we went into the classrooms and taught the kids the impact of methane gas on the environment, and the solution, or one of the solutions, is reducing our food waste and composting. And then we went into the cafeteria and we started collecting food scraps in the cafeteria. And this all started in 2018, and it has developed more and more until COVID hit. There are many amazing components to this particular program, one of which is we hire parents in the community to help collect these food scraps. They help build the compost piles, they turn the compost piles, and the magnitude of the waste that we have diverted from the landfill is massive. So before COVID hit, in February, we had diverted around 4,000 pounds of food in 1 month away from the landfill. About 2/3 of that was actually perfectly edible, good food that we redistributed to families after school. The other third of it was sent to the garden and composted. And this is what we've been doing for a couple of years now, diverting and redistributing food out of the landfill and into people's bellies and then into our school garden beds. All right, next slide. So this is part of, do you mind going back one, Rachel?
Oh, yeah.
So this is called the Compost Corner, and we build large compost piles, roughly around 500 pounds of food waste and food scraps in each pile, mixed with mulch that comes from LAUSD trees. So they drop it all off on site. So we make our own soil here, and we actually have a relationship with Whitney High School next door, where they have, where we've partnered and have a greenhouse job training program there, teaching the students at Whitney how to tend and cultivate seedlings. And so our compost, we actually sift our compost pre-COVID. We sift our compost and make our own soil. We start all of our own seeds for our 7 sister schools throughout the city. And so the relationship that the kids are seeing between their food waste turning into nutrient-rich compost and then being utilized to grow more food is really a beautiful cycle for them to witness and be a part of. Next slide. So I also work with LA Compost, and we have a partnership with Garden School Foundation where we are one of their compost hubs, which means that anybody in the surrounding community can go to the LA Compost website, sign up to drop off their food scraps at our site, and we will make compost with them. So that is something, if you're interested in, if you do not compost in your home or don't have the capacity to do it, you can see if we are still accepting food scraps from.
And is that active during COVID?
Yeah, so the school did just shut down, and we're figuring out the schedule, but I'm really trying to make it work because that's an important component that needs to continue. But yes, you can, for now, it's still active. Next slide. So what happens to a school garden during a pandemic, right? We were once filled with laughing, joyous children, and now the 1.5 acres is very quiet. There's a sweet little squirrel that makes the most noise in the space. So what happens? So when the pandemic started, things shifted quite significantly, and we decided to convert all of our school gardens into bio-intensive like production farms where we grow food for our free farmers market. So we decided to pivot a little bit where the school gardens were really educational sites where we would let carrots go to flower and then go to seed, so the child could see the life cycle of a plant. And it wasn't, we definitely harvested the food, and there was that component to teach the kids how to cook with the food that we were growing, but it really was sort of this observational learning space. And since we don't have the children on site anymore, we decided to convert all of the school gardens into these production style farms so we could grow food to give to families who need it. So in the last couple of months, here's a list of the things we've been growing. We experimented with a second summer planting where we did a round of squash and cucumbers, which the cucumbers were really rather successful for getting them in the ground in September. And currently we're growing some of the most beautiful kale I've ever seen. And having these free farmers markets every other week.
And I just want to add on one thing. So even though the students aren't in person there, they definitely, I still try to bring it into the virtual classroom. So I know that the other garden educators, it almost shows just a new side of the garden to the kids. And I think it's so exciting when they see like, wow, like this is what it looks like when you have kale growing on a plant, and those are fava beans and those are carrots. So I think even there's still educational gardens to a certain degree. It's just sort of in a different way, which is really exciting.
So
Yeah.
Rachel, how do you do that? Do you walk around with an iPad? Are you, whoops.
Where'd it go? Here. Yeah, so what I usually do is I'll have two accounts on Zoom. I'll have my laptop with the presentation, and then I have my phone around with me to sort of give that like that really like live tour. So I'll ask them, is there anything really special you'd like to see? Any specific trees or vegetables or areas of the garden? We also just started actually adding in garden updates into the 24th Street announcement videos. So they have weekly announcement videos. So that's something new we'll be doing. But yeah, we still want them to feel like this is their school garden, it's their space. And even if they can't be there in person, we want them to feel as welcome there as they can. So.
I'm curious about the farmers markets. How does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, so we, we have a nice amount of space, but there's absolutely no way we could grow enough food for all of the families that attend the school. So we have this really beautiful relationship with another nonprofit called Food Forward, where our Food Corps members, Rachel being one of them, will go to a distribution hub and pick up 700 to 800 pounds of food, bring it back to the school every other Thursday, and we set up these tables in the front of the school. And before the surge happened, which has been happening, the COVID numbers have been increasing, we were making bags for people as they approached the table. So we still were keeping like a safe distance and whatnot. And now that the numbers are having increased exponentially, we are still going to have the market. We are just going to pack all of the food up before, and it will just be one person and the principal. And it will be sort of like at our other schools, they do drive-by pickups. A lot of our school families don't have cars, and so they'll walk and stand in line 6 feet apart, and then we'll call them up and they will take their bags. But it's been a really incredible just experience, and to be able to provide this whole food to families.
So how many I mean, you're doing this every other week. How many families are coming and getting food, and and if it's a bag, is it like 5 pounds, 3? I mean, in other words, what are they getting, and how many of them are getting it?
Yeah. So our last market, maybe Rachel can help me remember the numbers, but our last market, I believe we had 48 people come. We're really keeping track of metrics. And so it was 48 individuals who came to pick up food. It was 208 people who were actually receiving this
Right.
food. And so it was 208 people, and that seems to be about the average that we're getting to.
But 48 families, 50 families?
48 families. Yep, 48 families. And I would say the bags, gosh, are they like 9 to 10?
Well, based
Like
on
9 to 10 pounds per family, I think, right?
what we tried to do was sort of ask them beforehand also how many people were in their families to make sure that what we gave them would actually make an impact or feed enough of them. So I think it comes out to about 15 pounds a bag. So some families got 2 bags, some would get 1, some even 3, just based on the number of people and the need in their family.
Right. And I'm asking questions for a reason. And it's all fruits and veggies that you're handing out, right?
Right.
Because UNNC has it's hopefully ongoing relationship with World Harvest. And we've already donated money to them for I call them PPP boxes, not to be confused with PPP loans, but see if it's produce. Oh, I don't remember, but it was like, basically, do you know what World Harvest is?
Yeah, it's on the corner. I can't remember which street. Is it Arlington?
It's on Venice and Arlington.
Yeah.
They are a market and food bank. So as a market, overwhelming to anyone in this Zoom room, probably overwhelming. If you have money, you go in, you give them $40, and there's a pre-packed grocery cart with 200 pounds of food.
Wow.
200 pounds. So it's not like a good idea for a single person to do. And then there's also things where you can shop, so you can spend more than 40. Pre-COVID, if you didn't have money, you could volunteer for 4 hours and still get your 200 pounds. Now, one of the things that they had started doing was vouchers, but what really has happened is that they've been starting, they even got a truck packing boxes and, and distributing them like to senior housing, affordable housing. I mean, the people people who are hungry get food. And it's not 200 pounds in a box, needless to say, but and it's the boxes would have pantry items, produce, and protein. See, PPP, the protein being meat. So I would wonder, as if there wouldn't be, now we always need notice because we have to fund with an approval, but if there wouldn't be a time where if you had 48 families, we could also have 48 PP, no produce boxes, meaning you have no produce.
That would be incredible. That would be a really wonderful.
But we'd have to plan it because, it's a funding request. We would have to,
Yeah. We're still figuring out the last market of 2020 is December 17th. And so we'll be planning the next market starting in January. So maybe we can connect.
Right. Well, we should talk offline a little bit. But the way it works for a neighborhood council, whether it's us or anybody else, but for UNNC, we would do a funding request at our executive committee and discuss, how the money how it's to be handled. This one's a simple approval in the sense of the entity World Harvest, which we get UNNC's money, is already approved by the city. right? But we would do a funding request. It has to be kind of specific. Glenn at World Harvest would have to tell us what each of the new configuration of a box, which would not have produce in it, right? How much it would cost per box, and we would need 50 boxes. So, in other words, we'd have to do that. That would be the funding request. If it were approved at executive committee, then it goes to governing board. Governing board votes hopefully yes, and then we need to get it approved by the city clerk's funding team. And
Laura, can we back up just a sec? Let's get back to the
well, I'm just going to
presentation.
say we would need at least 30 days
Okay.
of notification, and then we can move on.
Okay.
So you had your own question, I bet, Elizabeth, about this.
Well, so is it the same 200, and how many 200 people or families come through?
48 families.
It's
248.
yeah, and so based on, so we ask the individual how many people are in your family or in your household, and based on that number, that's how much food we pass off to them or we provide. And our latest number was, it was around 48 individuals, and then totaling 208 people within their households.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
So that's next slide. So these are more images. This is Annalee, is one of our schools in the South Bay, and then here's one of our other food corps members, and then Anne at 24th Street, and that's all of our harvest. So that's like a really nice harvest we had a couple weeks ago. And then I'm gonna pass it over to Rachel again.
Yeah, so these are the last few slides. The community fridge drop-offs are just one piece of the food distribution we've been doing. These fridges, I think they just popped up at the beginning of sort of the quarantine period, out of that need to address food insecurity. So at the beginning, before we really had launched these farmers markets, or if we have a smaller harvest, we'll drop food off here. We have there's one right off of La Brea and Washington. So not the exact West Adams neighborhood, but it is, that's the closest one that we do have. So that's just one other place we bring food. And then one last thing, this was one of the, me and the other food corps members, we really wanted to immerse ourselves in the West Adams community this year, because since we don't have that same relationship with the students one-on-one in person, we wanted to be able to interact with the community as much as possible outside of that. So we have sort of created this partnership with the farmers market, and in the month of October, we were there every Sunday, but that's gonna go down to one Sunday a month for the next few months. And our goal is really just to be, we're not selling food or anything like that. We're just there to sort of be this educational garden presence, to pass out some recipes, just to build that community and that language and dialogue around nutrition and gardening and those sorts of things. And this is
what's the next Sunday you'll be there?
So we have planned the first Sunday of every month, but we were supposed to be there this past Sunday, but just because of the sort of extreme COVID conditions right now, we decided not to. And I don't know if the farmers market was still going on. But our aim is for it to happen the first Sunday of every month. And I think that's it. We always have more information on our website. I'm happy to answer any last questions.
You know, I have to say, this is the nicest, best, most uplifting presentation I've seen in some time. It just made me feel good.
That's really nice to hear.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the work you're doing, and I hope you guys have a stable source of funding, because it's important stuff.
Yeah, if you know anyone.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, what is the source of funding? Does LAUSD contribute, or in effect, are you giving to them?
I mean, they're actually 24th Street has no, everything is grant based. Like our other schools have a fee that they pay for our program, and 24th Street essentially doesn't pay anything because the need is so high in that community that we've never charged them for our program. And it's the largest, most robust, multifaceted site that we have. And there's the funding is from grants. And so we're constantly trying. It's our director, Kathleen, who's incredible, is trying to secure funding really for 24th Street because that's the one that doesn't have the school funding it.
And go ahead.
My wife is a volunteer at Wilshire Crest. And
Oh, yes.
yeah, that's Liz Fuller.
Oh, cool.
She speaks highly of you too.
Oh, great.
When this program, when the organization started, you had some very big name garden people on the board and as advisors. Are they still there? Because I haven't really explored in the website.
Yeah, I think there's some people who have been, I don't know if you know Jill Walsh. I think she's been on the board since
I know the name, but I don't know her.
Yeah, most other people have kind of, stepped out of the board role and are on the periphery. So not as directly involved, still friends of the organization, but not as involved.
Yeah, well, I imagine it's like everybody else who's a nonprofit, it's really hard to get funds right now. I mean, it's hard to have fundraisers.
Yes.
Because these Zoom meetings are not always fun for fund raising.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I really I'm very inspired as well. I would like to have this presentation at our whole governing board, although not this one exactly because it's 30 minutes, so 20 is better.
Mm.
I did interrupt. But no, I mean it's really inspiring, and as well, I mean you guys have not, I mean saying you guys, I mean Rachel wasn't even there, but have not been involved with United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council at all over these years.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. And when I say you, I mean 24th Street School has not been involved. Whitney has not been involved. I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of back and forth with any schools except the charter schools because they always have land use entitlements that they need our support for. So then we end up finding out more about the charter schools. But that takes me to, at 24th Street School, do you still also have you have a charter school there as well, right?
Yeah, so after
Emilio Pack, right?
I'm sorry.
Well, the head is Emilio Pack, P-A-C-K, is the head of the, Elizabeth, help me out on this. It's the school right down at Adams and Second. It's a STEM.
Is it Crown Prince?
Yes, that academy, but it has a number of different names, but the head of it is a guy named Emilio. And when he thought he was going to lose his conditional use permit over on Adams, he cried a lot in front of all of us. So we've gotten to know him because he's so, out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's very, I don't mean cry, bitter tears.
Yeah.
Just,
passionately
we're passionately worried, let me just say it that way. Passionately, I mean it was they're in the old St. James Armenian church, so there was issues with historic preservation and stuff that happened there. But I know that organization is partly at 24th Street School, partly on Adams at the St. James Armenian. I mean, the different grade levels. And then another group, maybe the middle school is now at the, it's a church, another church setting at 35th and Normandy, the old Japanese Methodist church at 35th and Normandy. So you're calling it what, Crown?
Crown Prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
interested.
how is Crown Prep related to, I mean, in other words, are there two schools and one at that location?
Yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar with what happened at 24th Street and how the parents took over the school. They evoked the parent trigger law, and they're the second school in the nation to take over a school because the way the school was run was so terrible that they didn't want their children to be in that particular school. And so they took it over. LAUSD met with the parents to figure out a solution. And there were multiple options, one of which was the parents would either it would be a hybrid model of an LAUSD charter school sort of relationship, or it would, LAUSD will take it back over, but get rid of all of the administration and sort of start fresh again. Or it would be, I can't remember the third option. Yeah, so that happened, gosh, I think I was there for 2 years. So maybe that was 2010 that happened, 2009. And so once that happened, 24th Street became, the campus opened itself up for a charter school. So the charter school came on campus, and that was 5th through 8th grade, I believe. And then 24th Street became K through 4th grade. And so that's sort of how they're splitting it. And the idea is the kids funnel into this middle school. But from my understanding, a lot of parents are sending them somewhere else after the kids.
They're still not happy.
Administration. Yeah, well, no, they're fine with the 24th Street Elementary School. From my understanding, from the parents is they didn't feel comfortable with the middle school. So with the charter. And this was a handful of people. I don't know if that's the overall feeling of the entire school community, but it was just that a few people that I heard that they were like, oh no, we're gonna send our kids to the other middle school.
So the organization is STEM Preparatory Schools, right? So you're saying it's called
Crown Prep.
Yeah, Crown Prep Academy. There's a STEM Prep Elementary, and then the one on Adams is the Math and Science College Prep. So, but it's definitely a STEM program. So it might also be that's some people don't want to be in a STEM program.
After all this is over, I think Laura and I, and Dan, you're invited too, would love to have you guys to meet us Sunday morning at Surface.
When it's all over, you mean when we can sit back down?
Yes, when we can go back to restaurants.
Right, you know what? It might be over on the 16th if you read the judge's order.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, okay. the outdoor seating part, but anyway.
Oh, that. Okay. But no, this is very exciting, and I find myself wondering if you want to grow the garden, what you want to do. I've been drinking, hopefully you didn't think I was drinking wine. I've been drinking pomegranate juice from the pomegranates in my backyard and I got a note 5 years ago, I got a note from the city saying that I have an extra half lot. And if I was interested in using it for agriculture, I could get a tax break.
Wow.
And I wouldn't, the tax break is exciting, but the use of agriculture.
That was,
but I just didn't know how to do that. I don't know how to go forward with that. So I think I'm talking to the right people.
Yeah, and actually that brings me to, we hosted these incredible community garden days every month pre-COVID, where there were upwards of 150 people from all over LA, not just the West Adams neighborhood, coming to work in the garden. We would have workshops. The kids would do, there would be a chef who would come in, and the kids would actually make lunch for everybody there. They would learn how to make a recipe with the produce that we brought in from Food Forward. Everybody would have food to take home with them. And we would all, I think you were calling it a muck day, Laura.
I mean, you're describing something far more exciting and big, but before that it was literally bring your own gloves, bring your own shovel, help us muck about the garden, so that you're now it sounds like a much more formal and big event, but back in the early days it was literally cleaning up the garden,
Yeah, and we still do that, but we've like added some like treats to really incentivize people to come and join us, and enjoy the space, eat the food from the space, and then cultivate the space. It's that sweat equity, right, that makes the garden so magical and so special. And I think I'd love to join you all at Surface, and simultaneously I really would love you to come and see the garden. It's a very special place.
I think we were talking about this, how it remains to be seen how UNNC can be involved. And it remains to be seen how we can help you either market or fundraise or do something. And Laura will know all the T's to cross and the I's to dot.
Right.
But
well, I will say we can't help them fundraise per se, but we might be able to do grants. And I will say right now, we do have a lot of money to spend, but I think the kind of thing we want to spend money on through this fiscal year is for people who need food. I mean, in other words, food seems to be our theme anyway, now. And which is why I thought maybe we could partner, on something that would be easy, but it has to be easy.
And the other thing is
easy to use a credit card, because the other thing we're not even allowed to do right now is I can't walk somewhere and shop, even with the UNNC credit card, because neighborhood council board members are enjoined from doing anything face to face. So that doesn't mean we can't make donations using the credit card online, but what we can't do is fundraise for you.
Right.
But once you're having events, we can co-present an event, but we're even having trouble co-presenting virtual events because for some reason the clerk's funding team thinks an event's an event, and you have to follow a whole series. In other words, there's a lot of bureaucracy book that tells you how to do funding, and obviously they're not rewriting it for a pandemic.
Right.
The other thing I'm not doing is suggesting that we add to the workload of any of us in this room right now, because it's 9 o'clock, we're on a Zoom call. That's telling me that we're all extremely busy. We're all extremely busy. And that I have this new goal that distribute responsibility to increase investment.
Okay. Where'd that phrase come from?
My conference this weekend.
Yeah.
Because it can often descend on a few people who says, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. When actually assigning other people work or a part of ownership of the project helps them, get more invested in and then get further involved. And if you have 80 to 200 people coming and sort of connecting with them. There's seeds of is it seeds of Carver, that little right, maybe we could activate people to help out, to join other other groups and just make gardening, just spread it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I would love to introduce you to our executive director, and not to put more work on you, but just she knows all the money stuff and is very like good about talking about it. And so
Well,
and so I'd love, maybe, I don't know, if is it better to introduce her to you, Laura, or should I include everybody? Or?
Here's again what I feel, this feeling. One is you guys, y'all, this organization has been under the radar in terms of neighborhood councils this whole time, and may not have identified neighborhood councils as entities that can partner with you and sometimes give you grants. I mean, not $50,000 grants.
Yeah.
And you're right in the middle of UNNC, so that's an obvious. But your kids, the kids you service are at 7 different schools, and they may be walking to 24th Street School in particular from east of Western. So meaning there's certainly probably at least one other neighborhood council, Nandisi, that might be a potential partner as you look forward.
UNC as well.
Well, UNNC, of course, but I'm saying
UNC.
Greater Wilshire.
Right. I mean, where any of your schools are, and any of the, yeah. I mean, in other words, one of the definitions of a stakeholder for a neighborhood council is people who live, work, go to school, worship, or participate in a nonprofit, organization with an address. So for example, please don't try and take over at our elections this spring, but you guys have an address, 24th Street School. So people who participate with your nonprofit are all eligible to vote in our elections in the at-large section. Please don't take over. But you have a physical address for more than 1 year. But I don't feel like the Garden School Foundation has been doing that in any of the neighborhood councils.
No.
And you don't necessarily need to, but I think participating more is good. And you're also, I mean, like Rachel in particular, and you in particular, would be eligible to run for our board. Probably not a good idea before we give you some money, because then it starts being a conflict. But I would encourage you to be more involved with the organization. Well, that's why Rachel showed up in the first place.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I know you took time out of your day. I know that you prepared this presentation. It was a lovely presentation, and it got us all very excited.
Right.
Is there could you say right now, is there one thing that you want and need? Oh, Rachel, yeah, is there something?
But both of you are grinning.
Yeah.
I think it's overwhelming to, I'm not sure. I mean, I have a list and I can't access it at the moment. And so that's like the worst thing.
No, it's
that could happen when someone's like, what do you need? It's like, I don't know, but
it's so much. And yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm just waiting for the day when we can have a community garden day again. And then we can use the publicity, and I'm sure that you guys can help with that, but I just hope that happens before I'm not working with GSF anymore.
So so we might need your help on one little matter that's not totally little. We have been advocating to get a stoplight at Western and 24th.
Oh yeah.
So that people cannot just come to, among other things, the school, but they can leave without driving throughout the neighborhood. But right now, if you go back out eastbound on 24th Street to Western, you just can't turn north.
No.
You're in a car. I mean, I understand a lot of people are walking.
But that's the route that I go, and
it's the reason we're really advocating is the new projects right there on the corner. The hospital that's adaptively reused. I don't know how much they've rented it out yet, but they finished the project, I believe, as housing. But there will also be a restaurant eventually up on the roof. and there's a hotel planned right north of that on the same big, parcel. So I'm just envisioning the traffic jams between the school, the bus stop for other magnet schools, all of it. So we've been trying to get a stoplight back there. So we have a new council member. We're probably going to start collecting letters again, FYI.
How can we?
Well, it'd be good to have a letter from at least your organization. It'd be even better from the principal of the school, but that's a different story. But in terms of this presentation, again, I would love to have it at the entire UNNC, but and it wouldn't need to be fewer slides, but it would have to be faster.
And then definitely have a few asks.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is not only are, the people, they're able to do something for you for the neighborhood council, but just about everyone on the neighborhood council, I would say, is well connected. So they know people and they know people who know people. So
this is wonderful. And I think we'll have Kathleen, our executive director. She speaks so fluently and eloquently and just
Fast.
I think she would be.
Well, you were great. You guys were great.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was really great.
Thanks. Yeah. But I think, and she knows like the money stuff.
Okay.
So when is that next meeting?
Well, governing board, I mean,
It's the first Thursday.
The first Thursday of every month. And what I try to do, don't do it every month, is have a sort of reception presentation from 6:30 to 7 that's not part of the meeting. So in other words, we call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock so we can have a presentation. We have something to do as people are gathering. So that's one thing. But I'm hoping for January 7 that we would have our new council member. Not holding breath, but that's the goal. And then after that, I have nothing scheduled. But for all I know, I have nothing scheduled on January 7 either, because we haven't even gotten a transition team contact is non-existent. So they start work on Monday and we'll see what happens. But generally speaking, it's the first Thursday of the month, and we have a 2-minute public comment period right after 7 o'clock, and that's not a presentation. And in terms of funding requests, and we'll talk offline, those go to executive committee, which is the third Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thanks. And Laura, do you have their contact information?
I have Rachel.
We have.
I don't.
Okay.
Layla,
Yes,
were
I
you
have your
on the email chain?
I don't think I was.
But we can reach through Rachel if,
Right.
to
And
get
just
those.
read, I'm Rachel Corin. I think
That's
there's
right.
Rachel.
It's Rachel Black.
Yeah, that's another Rachel.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Still on our team.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm anxious to let you guys go. It's 9:10. You've been on for an hour.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And it was so nice talking with you all and meeting you all and really enjoying your Aurora Borealis, Dan.
Yeah.
That's very delightful. Thank you all so much for your time.
And Layla, we do have you. We have you on the email chain. I'm just looking right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you all so much for.
All right.
Look forward to the
Have a
next.
lovely evening.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, so
Bye-bye.
so you guys, so for Dan and Elizabeth, we still have a couple of things.
And I have about 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know I was on late and Dan was on later, but I'm
That's
dog
okay.
tired.
What we have is just update on street tree maintenance. That would be Elizabeth, and update on neighborhood cleanup day. That'd be Dan.
Take it away, Elizabeth.
I ran around the neighborhood, literally ran around the neighborhood and counted on my fingers all the holes for trees, and I thought about going to people, and then I stopped and then I dropped it. So now I'm going to look, Laura, for your email where you included the map. And you and
Yes, but that map
Helen.
was Jefferson Park. Okay, forget Helen. Clearly she.
No. It was. I'm just looking for
negatively-
I'm just looking for the email because Helen was on that email, wasn't she?
Oh, I don't remember.
And it had a street tree maintenance docs that I have uploaded. Is that right? Is that Laura
Right,
Meyer?
but what happened is that map was early in the process and not correct. Remember, that's why we've expanded it. because some of those trees.
Yeah, but I
Okay,
just need
I'm
something to
just gonna
draw on.
remind
I just
you
need
one
something
more
to draw
time.
on. Yeah, because I need to identify 20, 25.
Yes,
I
but what you were going to do is just drive around and identify 25 street wells.
Right, so I need a map to at least identify
And,
a
and, we,
few.
and you should start with Jefferson, but we're not doing
Yes.
anything that has stumps or even dead trees because there's no
Correct.
money to remove the dead trees.
And not 100 feet before, in front of a street light. That was a little interesting.
Well, are you saying, is somebody saying, Helen in her now negative way, saying that some of the places that already were trees are no longer allowed to be trees?
I think she did tell me that.
And yet when you drive down Venice Boulevard where all the new trees are, they're really close together. And they don't seem to be with regard, but it doesn't matter. I thought you had started writing down on Washington Boulevard and elsewhere where you saw the holes.
No, I eyeball them
Okay.
and then I don't. I'm looking for the map now.
Okay.
So is it
here's the
UNNC
thing.
street trees?
We're gonna lose the money if we don't do this relatively quickly, or we have to trust KYCC and just give them the money whether or not we've properly done the work, and I don't think we should do that. So I'm just going to bother you offline.
Okay, and I see the map now. I see where she did. No, she gave us Jefferson, 31st. Okay, so anyway, she created a map. And do you have a better map?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to have to make a map.
Right.
I think.
Right. And what we had just did, we expanded the program. UNNC expanded the program to be commercial streets. So 31st Street would not get trees.
No, only commercial. Right. Yeah, right. I know the parameters and I'm excited about it. I just
but we
have to start counting to get
get you
holes.
We really will run out of time, and the money will go back to the city general funds.
By what's my deadline?
Would you like to delegate a street for me to cover?
You bet. Let me see. I'm trying to print that out, but I don't know if I can. Let me look. Okay, here's a piece of paper. Yeah. Our north side is Washington, correct, Laura?
Pico is the north, but I don't know if we want to go that far. We have the south side of Pico, not the north side of Pico. So the south side of Pico is our northern boundary.
Then we have Venice.
Venice is covered by the new project. They have well, maybe not thousands. They have 100 some new trees.
Then we have Washington, and I'm just counting streets. I'm not talking about commercial. Then we have Adams.
Our section of Adams is not commercial except 13th to Crenshaw.
13th, Adams, 13th to Crenshaw.
So it's about 3-block stretch. But in that location,
so Crenshaw's our boundary.
You should try and identify. But if we end up identifying, say, 40 spots, and we only have money for 25, but if a bunch of them are over in that little neck of the woods, I would ask CIM to adopt that portion.
What is CIM?
Well, they own a bunch of they own stuff there.
What is CIM?
Oh, one of the billionaire Israeli development companies.
Oh.
They're major.
Developers.
Well, yeah, but they own a whole bunch of that property.
May take care of trees.
Right, but I don't know if there's any place that needs a tree. I'm not visualizing. Okay. And then right there, that's where essentially Montclair intersects Adams. But so we're talking about Adams from 13th Avenue west to Crenshaw. That's just 3 blocks. Mm-hmm. And Montclair dead ends and intersects Adams there. Montclair is also commercial, is the only reason I'm bringing that up.
Montclair.
There's likely to be some tree planting going on because the organization Path is under construction on a big project, and there's a big vacant parking lot-y thing, but that's another housing project. So I imagine they have to put in street trees.
Themselves. So my thought is, okay, so Western, we've got the western side of Western.
We have both sides of Western
Both sides.
between Pico and the 10 freeway.
And the 10.
We have the western side of Western from the 10 south to Jefferson.
Okay.
And that's
Jefferson.
that.
Okay. Did you get that? Did you get that, Dan?
Well, it's recorded.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay. So Dan, will you take Western?
Sure.
So did you get that? Pico, from Pico to the 10, both sides. Okay. Wonderful. And I'll take the rest. And I'll take a couple of runs with my little pad of paper. And that's great. I think, yeah, I think it won't be difficult to identify the tree holes. The thing it will be to contact to get a real estate agent to give us the owner, and then to find a.
So are you thinking that we have to have owner permission?
Okay, we don't.
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, I heard that we did.
I'm not
That's
answering, I'm asking.
That's what Helen said, and that's generally the KYCC way.
Okay. So, because I know that obviously the city, when they just planted all of these trees on Venice, probably didn't ask anybody's permission. They just did it.
So let's push that. Let's see if we can get it without.
Right.
Because if we got watering, then we're okay. But yeah, having buy-in is good.
Well, and by the way, if we locate 65 spots, surely 25 of them will be finalized. Because again, what I want to give KYCC the money.
Me too.
I just want to know that they're not our stumbling block and they keep rejecting the locations.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I don't want them to pocket the money. I mean, in other words, it's easy for me to use the UNNC credit card and give them the money. This is already an authorized expense, but I don't want to without us knowing there's a real project.
Okay. Good. I've got my marching orders. Thank you, Dan, so much. And let's move on.
All right. I want to, for the neighborhood cleanup day thing, I think that it's a fine idea, but let's table it until we get the tree thing under control.
Good idea. Okay.
And I don't even think, do we, Laura, should we bother voting on that or not?
We don't need.
Can we table it till next time, for next month? Because it's so easy. All we have to do is ask people if they're cleaning in front of their house, in front of their business, that they take a picture of themselves and send it to us.
Okay, you think it's so easy, but no, but we're in a bureaucracy. But you think it's so easy, but I have to get buy-in from Gabby and Rahim, because it's their task as communications co-chairs for UNNC
to take some ownership,
do a thing. And right now the thing they're working on is a talent show, but I'm sure they'd be happy to work on another thing. But Dan's right, we should table this until we get the tree thing under.
That's great. Yeah.
This is total war, Elizabeth. Unless we focus on the street trees, we're going to screw up.
Okay. No, you're perfect. Yeah, that's right. What did I heard? Startups die more from indigestion than from starvation.
Yeah.
Somebody said that.
Well, I'm disappointed that more people did not come to this meeting, because that was a great presentation.
It was.
Yes.
But you know, it's recorded, right? So we can use that recording to bring people in to future meetings, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to, and we're a little baby committee, right? We just need to build up
yeah, I mean, everything takes time, but I will say, you know, not only did I do the usual e-blast, but really UNNC put it on Facebook. Well, actually, I don't know what it looks like. I haven't checked, but I can check right now. It might not be great, just saying. But UNNC did do it on Facebook, and also, I sent an email to the entire board, sort of highlighting each of the upcoming meetings where I knew we had interesting stuff happening, and but I, say, and I sent everybody each of the Zoom links. So, it would have been easy. But on the other hand, everyone is so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And frankly, the country is in a perilous moment. So everybody's stressed out,
Yes.
not paying any attention.
Yeah.
Well, that is true. I find myself actually every 15 minutes or so checking again what's happening on Google. So the Facebook post actually looks great. So I don't know. I'm looking at it now, but it didn't. One of the things I have to talk to the communications committee about would be timing.
Hmm.
I don't know, I personally don't know Facebook well enough to know same day is best, a week ahead is best.
Oh.
I just don't know.
My intuition is that you want both, right? You want to have advance notice, and then you want to have
Immediate.
for
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we meaning the neighborhood council, we need to start doing a better job of our communication side. The outreach committee is meeting for is also just kind of stepping back in and meeting for 1 hour on Tuesday before executive. So there's just a lot of baby steps happening in each of the committees. And even planning and zoning, when we started on Zoom, we had huge numbers of people logging in, but it's getting less and less because I think people are zoomed out, and B, what Dan said, we're in a perilous time. Well, I'm saying I'm checking on the presidential election. You may be saying you're checking on COVID, and other people might be checking on other things. But I think we're just in that time where our attention is distracted. And Elizabeth, I will help a little on the trees, but I cannot keep volunteering to help everybody with everything because
I hear
it's
you.
too much for me.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, you are providing organizational glue par excellence, so you shouldn't have to be doing the footwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Unless you want to.
one of the things I wrote to the board though was that now that I'm going to all these committee meetings, which I never went to over the 15 years, I only went to planning and zoning. I never, ever, ever went to anybody else's committee meetings. They're really interesting. I'm learning a lot about other things.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing that with Citizens Climate Lobby. Yeah, we got a meeting with, did I say, in Bakersfield, we got a meeting with Kevin McCarthy.
Wow.
yeah,
And it
wow.
went well, apparently.
Okay, whatever.
No, we don't.
Talk about
We don't have.
politics.
We don't have policy.
We're being recorded, so I'm trying to.
Oh yeah. Okay,
here.
I got to run. I am dead tired.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us adjourn then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great
Okay.
meeting. Thank you so much for
Thanks, Laura.
making it happen, Laura and Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for answering your phone.
Good night.
Okay. Bye. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye.